All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're exploring a story of just incredible resilience, all about a woman who absolutely refused to be broken. This is the story of Aparajita, the unyielding woman.
I actually want to start at the end of the story with this quote. This shop isn't just for selling tea. It's the charter of my life, with my head held high. Wow, right? That's our protagonist, Shuli. And you can just feel it. This isn't just about a business. It's a declaration of independence. It's about a life she clawed back for herself. So, how did she get there? Let's unpack the unbelievable hardship she had to overcome to earn that right.
Okay, so our story kicks off on a dark, really stormy night. And this is where we meet our main characters, Shuli and her husband, Sagar. Now, Sagar's a fisherman, so their entire life, their whole world, is tied to the river and its unpredictable moods.
And right away, we see this deep conflict brewing. On one side, you've got Shuli. She has this awful feeling, a premonition. She's telling him the river feels like a demon today. But on the other side, there's Sagar, who's stuck thinking about the reality. He says, this rain is a fisherman's fortune. If I don't go, how will we eat? It's just this heartbreaking clash between her intuition and the brutal necessity of survival.
Well, Sagar doesn't listen to her pleas. He feels like he has to go. He goes out to the river, and just like that, her worst fears come true. He's bitten by a venomous snake. It's all over in an instant.
And with his last breath, Sagar doesn't just say goodbye. He gives her a command, a mission. He makes her promise him, don't give up, Shuli. You must not give up. Promise me. And these words, they become the anchor for her entire journey, for everything that's about to happen.
Now, you'd think, right, that a woman who just lost her husband would be met with some compassion, some support. But for Shuli, her husband's death was only the beginning of the nightmare. This is where a personal tragedy turns into a public crucifixion, really.
This is just how twisted superstition can get. Instead of comfort, the village elders hand down a verdict. They decide she is inauspicious, jinxed, that his death is somehow her fault. And their most brutal act, they deny Sagar a proper burial. Because he was bitten by a snake, they claim his body will bring a plague on the village. So they put his body on a banana raft and float it away on the same river that just killed him. It's unbelievably cruel.
And just look at how fast her entire world unravels. It's not one thing. It's a cascade. Day 1, her husband dies and she's denied the right to bury him. By week 2, a flood comes and washes away her home and their farmland. And by week 3, even her own brother, who had taken her in, casts her out. Everything is gone in just 3 weeks.
This right here, this is the final blow, the ultimate betrayal. Her sister-in-law says to her brother, your shadow fell on my son and he fell. Get this inauspicious sister of yours out of my house. Can you imagine? Blaming her because a kid tripped over. And her brother, faced with that, he chooses his wife's superstition over his own flesh and blood. He throws her out.
So now, Shuli has literally nothing. No home, no money, no family. She is completely and utterly alone. And you'd think this is the end of the story, but no. This rock bottom, this is actually where her real story begins.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? When you have nothing left to lose, when you've been stripped of absolutely everything, what do you do? Where do you even go from there? And right there, in that total darkness, something clicks. She remembers Sagar's last words, that promise, don't give up. And she makes a choice, a powerful choice. She decides she is not going to beg, she is not going to die, she is going to live, but on her own terms.
But to start over, she needs something, anything. So she makes one last gut-wrenching sacrifice. She takes the last thing she has from Sagar, a pair of brass earrings he gave her, and she sells them. She literally trades a piece of her past for a chance at a future.
And what does she do with that little bit of money? She doesn't buy a meal. She doesn't find a room to rent. No, she buys a weapon. And her weapon of choice? A tiny roadside tea stall. It's her symbol of defiance, her stand against the world that tried to erase her. Of course, a shopkeeper warns her, what will people say? A woman running a business? But listen to her response. She says, people say many things. Will people feed me when I'm hungry? No. What people say won't fill my stomach. It's such a huge shift. She's done caring about society's judgment. She gets it now. Their opinions don't pay the bills.
But naturally, the fight isn't over. There's always someone who wants to prey on what they see as weakness. A local thug, a guy named Tafazal, sees this lone widow trying to make it, and he figures she's an easy target. Oh, but he is about to find out just how wrong he is.
This is the moment the victim in her dies for good. She looks him dead in the eye and says, "Listen carefully. I have lost my husband, not my spine. If you say one more foul word, I will burn your face with this flaming firewood." She literally grabs a burning piece of wood from her own stove and threatens him with it. No fear. None.
So Tafazal, totally humiliated, doesn't just slink away. No, he escalates. He can't beat her himself, so he goes to the powerful village head, the Chaudhry, to use the system, the establishment, to crush her.
And what do you know? The system sides with the bully. The Chaudhry issues an official order. Get rid of the tea stall in 24 hours. The reason? It's disturbing the peace and the village's reputation. Suddenly, her fight for survival has become a public battle for her very existence.
But Shuli doesn't back down. She goes right to the Chaudhry and just lays the hypocrisy bare. She asks him, where was the village's honor when my husband's body was floated away? Where was society when the flood took my home? She calls them out on their insane double standard. When she was suffering, nobody cared about honor. But now that she's standing on her own 2 feet, suddenly she's a problem. She tells him, my honesty is my courage. So the Chaudhry's men show up to destroy her little stall. And just then, something incredible happens. The villagers, her customers, the regular people, the ones who had maybe even shunned her before, they show up, and they form a human shield around her shop. They just stand there, silently protecting it. Her grit, her hard work, it had won them over. The community finally stands up for her.
And that is the real victory. It's not just about survival anymore. It's about earning the respect and the protection of the same community that cast her out. This is the moment she truly transforms.
Just look at this journey. Look at the full transformation. She went from being the jinxed widow to being Shuli Bubu, or Sister Shuli, a term of respect. From a victim of superstition to a symbol of resilience, the woman who was totally abandoned is now the very heart of her community. What a change.
And that brings us full circle, right back to the title. Shuli literally earns a new name, Aparajita, and it means the unyielding, the unconquered, the one who has never been defeated. Because that's the thing, she didn't just survive, she proved that even when you take everything away from a person, you cannot defeat their spirit.
So her story really leaves us with a question for ourselves, doesn't it? We all see injustices, big and small, in our own communities. We see people being failed. The question is, at what point do we stop just accepting it? When do we decide to build our own tea stall, to make our